We're getting sleepless in Seattle, a potential weather game between Utah and Washington coming up on Saturday. We love weather games, but we also love Michael Penix Jr. because, Matt, it looked like a little bit healthier last week against USC. You see the number on your screen. Washington is a pretty hefty favorite in this game. The question, can Bryson Barnes do what Caleb Williams did last week and keep this Washington defense honest?
How about defenseless in Seattle?
No, that's probably
that's
why they pay him the big bucks.
At USC. Now, look, Washington's the only unbeaten team left in the Pac-12, but each of their last 5 games has been very, very close. Last week's 10-point win at USC was the biggest point margin of victory that they've had in the last 2 months. That being said, I don't think it catches up to them this week at home against Utah. I just do not have that much faith in this Utah offense. I think they regress to the mean. We've seen them lose 2 games so far this season. They scored 13 total points in those losses at Oregon State and at home against Oregon. Speaking of Oregon State, I think next week when Washington goes there to Corvallis, not Europe, Corvallis, is when the Huskies eventually get a loss on their own.
I think that tees up our next panelist perfectly. Danny Tuppinger, please take it away from there.
Overjoyed.
Yeah, right.
So funny because in my notes it says Washington has a game with Oregon State next week.
Shocking.
And after the Arizona State scare, they should be very scared for Oregon State. Not so much with Utah, though. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with the explosive Washington offense quite like the Beavs are next week. Gosh, I can't wait for this discussion next week. But on this situation, Penix Jr. is the front runner for the Heisman for a reason. I just think that the Huskies remain unbeaten, getting the home victory here, as you want to say, defenseless in Seattle, Sleepless in Seattle, great movie. By the way, love it. But yeah, can't wait until next week. Matt, gosh, we're just BFFs today.
Who's Georgia play next week, by the way?
I have no idea.
Tennessee, just saying.
There you go. So maybe not so much.
I rescinded my friendship with Tank earlier, and now I've rescinded my friendship with you.
Well, Tank, I'll give you a chance to rebut anything Danny just said about you and also this game between Washington and Utah.
Well, everything about me, but I can't refute anything that she said about this game against Utah because I was pretty confident that Oregon was going to be able to go into Utah and beat the Utes just for the simple fact that they're clearly the better team, and we saw that with Bo Nix. And I think when you have Utah going up to Washington after they already gave the Sun Devils the 5 fingers to the face, so they already got that little beat down from Oregon out of their system. Now they're going to go back up there to Seattle and get similar treatment against the Huskies. So that's why I'm going with a little SGP. Washington money line over 51.5. That gives you plus 125.
Sweep across the board here with Washington. Huh?
Yeah, look, I love the fact that Tank is employing full SGPs all the time. Man after my own heart. So on this SGP, I'm going to double down on it. I say the Huskies mush. Huskies mush. Cover on the old line minus 2.5. And I'm going to take the total up and slam the under at 59.5. The only way that Utah can remain remotely competitive is they lean on their stiff and stout defense. They're number 2 in college football and EPA per play defense. The offense is not going to arrive like it did last week. I agree with Fortuna's point of view on that. Washington, number 3 in EPA per play offense. And they're pretty good defensively as well. They advance metrics market number 26 EPA per play defense. So the under, I believe, is going to hit on this all total, and the Huskies will coast to a victory and cover that 2.5.
Don't count out Kyle Whittingham, guys. Don't do it. But I think you maybe can in this game. If they can get pressure on Penix, because they didn't get him pressure on Bo Nix, and you saw what Oregon did to that Utah defense.